Dr. Mobius, what makes you confident that China will continue its growth trajectory and sustain its high growth rates?
China will continue to grow, but perhaps not as fast as it has grown in the past. And the reason for that is, of course, the growth rate is based on the base of the economy. As that base grows bigger and bigger, it becomes more and more difficult to get the high percentage growth rate, but still the growth rate will be very high. And the reason why I say that is the government policies in China are designed to ensure high growth, number one. Number two, the incentives in the population to work hard, to innovate, and to make money are very, very high. Per capita incomes are low in many parts of the country. So there's big room for growth.
Now, with concerns over issues like inflation and wealth inequality, why is now a good time to look at China?
So a combination of all these factors, government policy, personal initiatives, and so forth, it makes us to believe that the growth rates will continue at a high pace. As regards to the future trends and the impact China has on the rest of the world, of course now the US, Europe, Japan are the biggest countries in the world in terms of economies. But the growth rate of China means that they will have a catch-up situation where China catches up with these other countries and begins to have a bigger and bigger impact on the rest of the world. And we also must not forget India and other countries where the growth is very, very high and where their impact on the global economy will be increasing at a rapid rate. Already we're seeing that exports from the rest of Asia going into China are greater than exports going to the US or going to Europe. So that's a sign that the impact of China is growing. Rising unemployment, wealth inequality, inflation are things that we have everywhere in the world. Every country is faced with these challenges. The question is how a country can attack those challenges. And the Chinese government has shown an ability to make moves, make policy moves, which attack those problems of inflation, unemployment, and so forth. The Chinese government is probably better prepared than many other governments around the world to attack those problems. It remains to be seen. Of course, there'll be inevitably some policy mistakes, but I would say that the Chinese government, the Chinese people are very well prepared for those challenges.
Specific to investing in China, tell us, how have you avoided the pitfalls of bad investments?
As you know, we've been investing for over 20 years now, so we've had a lot of experience in looking at companies and looking at their corporate governance and knowing the people behind the companies. One of the reasons why we visit companies is for that specific purpose, to determine whether we're dealing with people that we can trust or people that we've got to be careful about, particularly as regards to corporate governance and treatment of minority shareholders. So we are in a very good position when we look at that. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to make mistakes along the way, but we're certainly focusing in a big way on the people behind the companies in which we invest.
And finally, why is looking at corporate governance important when investing in China?
Corporate governance is important not only in China, but everywhere in the world. Because at the end of the day, we as minority shareholders want to receive dividends. We would like to receive a return on our investment, regardless of whether it's a Chinese company or an Indian company or a South African company. So it's very important to ascertain the attitude of the management vis-a-vis shareholders, minority shareholders. Because too often you have a company that's controlled by a group or a family and their interests are only their own. They're not interested in the wider base of shareholders. So that presents a big challenge. And we have to be very careful when investing to ensure that the management and the controllers of the company are looking not only after their own interests, but our interests as well.